For the first time, we are having an all-inclusive team that addresses issues of negotiation as it relates to Kenya as a country. We have always had gaps, we've always had key stakeholders left out, and we've always ended up having suboptimal agreements that comes to bite us many years to come. And so having a very, very comprehensive list of stakeholders, whether it's public sector, private sector, the civil society, all walks of life of people who are going to be affected by some of these negotiated agreements, we want to have that in place.
Historically, we've been looking for this information. In 2011, Shippers Council actually came up with a portal. But of course, we were relying a lot on donors. We cannot be able to be a private sector, so we don't have sufficient resources. But we actually started seeing that gap that exists, and people don't know. It's only the elitist people who know what happens in the logistics. If you want to export, if you want to import. People knew by virtue of going to an agent, you tell an agent, you ask an agent, and you are given information. Now, with this e-portal, what is happening is you have all that information at just within even your phone. You can be able to have that information. Where do we get our exports from? A lot of it is agricultural. So you can be able to actually export from where you are. Even somebody who is in the village who has mangoes. If you want to say, I want to actually capture the export market, then you look at the standards that are required, who are required to certify, and what are the certification procedures that are required. If you're able to get that information, it will increase the amount of the volumes that we are exporting.
One of the concerns as we move into e-commerce and having a lot of things online is the issue that we need in place a data protection law in the country. The conversation on the data protection bill has been ongoing. It was tabled in Parliament in 2015, but to date it hasn't been passed. I think this legal framework is critical because once you're online, there's a lot of data and information that is being processed online and shared in these platforms, and it's important to have a legislative framework that manages the same. The other thing that's happening internationally, globally, the EU has put in place data protection regulations, and these regulations require anyone handling any data for an EU citizen, be it in goods and services or any data that they give, to have certain parameters within their countries. One of them is actually to have the data protection laws domesticated within the countries and other requirements. So I think as we move as a country into e-commerce, all of us are moving in that direction. We need to continue building that legislative framework so that as we do it in a way that is competitive and sustainable.
I think the greatest benefit is just that one-stop source of information. A lot of the costs that are brought about in doing business is that because of lack of information. So if I don't know how to find out what goes on in KEBS, I assume that the broker who then knows is one who will assist me. Now, without the cost of the broker, you bring down the cost, because now I can go directly into the portal, find out what I require to do whatever business, what standards I need, reducing the cost of doing business. And more importantly, it also eases the process of doing business, because then you're doing it yourself and the issue of a broker in between is removed. So it will ease business, it will at the same time reduce the cost of business.